So welcome everybody, my name is Paul Smyers. I'm a real estate agent in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley, Virginia, and I specialize in rural property. I love living in the countryside, and today I'm going to talk about water features on property. You don't necessarily find those things in a cul-de-sac type of place. You might find in a very large development they have a common pond that you can go walk around or whatever, but it's not the same as having your own special water feature on property. And a lot of people ask me to find a property that has a pond on it. Frankly, it's more difficult to find a pond than it is to find a stream in Virginia. But you can make a small pond or a water feature if you have some water on your property. It may not even have to be a stream, but we can get into some of the ways you can do that in a few minutes. As long as you have some water access, I have two wells here, or rather one well, but two spigots that come out, plus it goes to the house and to another residence that's actually on this property. So I have plenty of water here. So what I did when I bought this property, I knew it doesn't have the pond I'd like, the 5-acre pond or the 1-acre pond. It doesn't have the fish and all that. So what? I made something that attracts birds and insects and wildlife and has just a gentle feel to it, to have a little water feature. It could be a fountain, it could be a very small stream. You can also, if you happen to have a little gully or something on your property, the water flows down in the rain, and you just make a little dam there, something small, and it'll be very attractive. It doesn't have to be very large. It can attract a lot of wildlife, like I said, and also it can attract various kinds of insects and birds. So consider that when you buy a property, that one of the things that you want to add to your property is some kind of small water feature. It makes a really big difference. You'll see a whole property get transformed from a dry, barren backyard where everything's boring, with maybe just a small fountain. It doesn't have to be very big. Something simple that brings a little bit of water and flow into the property where it's accessible. Kids love that sort of thing. So the next thing I want to talk a little bit about is porches. A lot of people don't get the understanding that there's a really advantage to have really nice porches on your property. In the old days, I see a lot of these old homes, they have a wraparound porch, and sometimes they've screened it in and everything. It's absolutely delightful. So in a typical suburb or development, you won't find that. Maybe you'll find a little room, maybe a 10 by 12 or whatever, something like that, and maybe it does have a screen, but it's nothing. What I'm talking about is the type of property that you might find in a rural area with lots of space around you. And you may not have one on the property already, on the house, but it may be suitable for building one. So sometimes I see properties that have a front porch, but it doesn't wrap around. You see, now my porch right now, the front porch of mine has one of those nice swinging chairs and everything. I rarely actually use it. It's not too far from the road, but it's very delightful, and I could enclose it with a screen and all that if I really wanted to. But the back actually is a better place sometimes for people to put a screened-in porch. It all depends on the location, the orientation of your house. But I urge people to consider, if you upgrade a property, everybody knows bathrooms and kitchens sell houses. But if the kitchens and the bathrooms are already in great shape, maybe it's new construction, start looking around and see, well, can I put a deck here? Can I have a nice enclosed porch? Can I add a gazebo on my lot here? What's the permissions required, and so on. If you go on to the rural area, you'll often find things that are already established, such as a gazebo or something, or maybe it has a beautiful wraparound screened porch. So I urge people to consider some of the very important things that you can add to your property that aren't typical. You might not consider that when you look at property, because you know how it is, the marketing. Oh, this has a fantastic kitchen, or it has a wonderful bathroom, and there's 10 of them in the house, or whatever. It's just that you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time in the bathroom, but you might spend a lot of time on a beautiful gazebo or a screened-in porch or near a water feature. So thanks again for listening. I hope people like and share. I try to have a little humor about the process here, and please recommend my books to others. I don't write them, but I read them and I share them. So if you watch all my other content, you'll see a lot of books in the background, and you can check them out. So thanks again for listening. Please like and share. I really appreciate it.